Good morning, everybody. Fantastic, that's better. Right, okay. I now feel really, really weird working here because I feel sort of like I did the MBA and I left and I had my aha moment, which was what a waste of time and money the MBA had been. Because the most important thing is what actually happens in the marketplace. Like, nature is brutally honest, and really what goes on in the PowerPoint presentation and the 976 slides I'm going to show you is entirely irrelevant unless you sell some stuff. And that's kind of really where I come from. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's all about that. So what I could do is I could give you a very, very structured session, okay, which you might like, with lots of fantastic case studies which are intellectually intriguing, with wonderful opportunities to apply BCG matrices to them and so on and so forth. Or we could actually talk about your businesses and what you're trying to do. And I guess those of you who are in class or have been in class have done enough of the intellectually bits, and we actually want to talk about what you want to do. So my agenda, okay, as a marketing guy, is what matters most is the customer. So I have a very, very highly sophisticated review for what we're going to do today, which is firstly your introduction. You need to introduce yourselves to each other to be familiar with who each other are, or and if you're not, because you're on a table and you've been sat next to someone for ages and ages, move across the room and find someone else to talk to. It's not very difficult. And more importantly, your agenda. You know, you've got 3 sessions with me today, about an hour and a half, hour and a quarter each. Okay? And the question, the real question is what is it you want to know by the time you leave here? Okay, so the title of the general title that we ended up with is this nice simple one, which is, why should people bother to buy from you? Yeah, why should people bother to buy from you when they can buy from the competition? Why should people bother to buy from you when the competition are probably faster, smarter, brighter, friendlier and cheaper? Why should people bother to buy from you when you can get videos wherever you want? Why should people bother to buy from you when they can download the stuff for free? Why should people bother to buy from you when, so on and so forth? And that's the agenda. The agenda is what is it you want to know? So I want you guys to do 2 things, okay? And I think what I'm going to ask is the mentee group, who are being very superior over there, to just mix with the others. And what I want you to do is 2 things. First thing I want you to do is very quick introductions around the table, okay? It's really important, very, very succinctly and very, very easily to understand why people are here. I'll start with a general piece, and then we'll get a bit more specific as we go through. And also that'll give me time to get my head around how I'm going to answer all these questions. So you know roughly who's around your table. Let me just tell you who I am. Robert Craven, author of MBA, you've heard that. My first business was when I was 21, which was a cafe, then a restaurant, then a sound recording studio, then pop festival catering, then outside catering, and then a training company, and then I fell into consulting. We heard that phrase before, fell into consulting. And I fell into Warwick Business School to do an MBA, and I was director of training and consulting for the SME Centre here, a phrase which I never use anymore. And I now run a company called the Director Centre, and what we do is we work with either fast growth businesses or relatively well-funded startups. Okay, so we don't work with a hairdresser who's just trying to sort of open a shop and doesn't know where they're going. So that's the background to me. And I think just to give us a model for us all to actually work around, and to answer the question about banks, okay, and I saw on your things they're looking at banks and funding and where that came from. What I want to do, just to start you off, is show you very quickly a model, very, very simple model, which is how businesses operate, and unless you get this bit, then nothing really matters. But what's really interesting about it is that NatWest, I know because I sold it to them, Barclays and Fortis, I'm not even sure if Fortis is still going. Are they still going, Fortis? I look at you because they were a Warwick Business School client. Okay, Fortis use this model to evaluate either startups or business propositions. Okay, so it's quite an interesting tool. It's actually a more interesting tool for you because it just gets you thinking about your business, and it's a really interesting tool for the mentors. I got that right way round, because it's a great tool for talking about businesses and making stuff happen. So if you're happy, if you can just put up with me for 10 minutes, I'll explain it, and then you can apply it to your businesses in various degrees and various forms. So step one. Earlier on, when the people weren't here, I can send you slides later on if I use them. Step one, when earlier on, Olga and Samir were talking about their businesses, okay, and they were going to great detail about what they're doing with their business ideas. What was going on through my head, which they didn't particularly mention at all, actually? The
key aspects, where the sales coming from.
Yeah. Okay, so they didn't mention, really. They didn't mention M for marketing, yeah, and they didn't mention, more importantly, very much about F for finance. How many units, how much price, what's the gross margin, what's the gross profit, what's the turnover, what's the return on investment, da, da, da. The really interesting thing, and this isn't a pop at you guys at all, it's quite the reverse. The really interesting thing is anyone you talk to, when you put any proposition in front of them, okay, the first thing they come up with, and the first thing that we go on about with endlessly is about the finance thing. If I was to ask any of you to how good your business is, we'd straight away have turnover. What were the sort of financial measures you'd have? I feel like at a business school we shouldn't even be doing this. Turnover, yeah, what else?
Profit.
Yeah, what else? Growth, yeah, what else?
Investment
requirement, what else? What's the most important thing?
Cash.
Thank you very much. Who said that? Who said cash?
Over here.
Cash. Cash is the most important thing, okay? Cash is the thing which will make you go bust, okay? Cash is the thing which will make you go insolvent. We are about to see more people going bust than we've ever seen go bust before. Why? Because they've got through the recession, they've maxed out their credit card, they've not bought a new car, they've not bought a new house, they've delayed everything. But now, well, in 12 to 18 months' time, when the economy actually turns around, when they need to buy more stuff, when they need to buy more stock, when they need to buy more bodies, they won't have the cash to make it happen. So that's when you're going to see even more bankruptcies than you've ever seen before, okay? And it is, the financial measure, we all talk about all the different financials, okay, but the financial one, the big one is cash. And my friend Paul Barrow, if you remember Paul Barrow, yeah, would be saying, finance is the engine of the business, cash flow makes the business go round, finance is the most important, the most sexy thing in the world. What I like to do more than anything else is get myself a set of accounts and go into a dark and damp room and look at those accounts and get joy and gratification from what's in those accounts, which is what turns many accountants on. But the actual reality for most of us is that it's not about the finance. So it's not just about the finance, it's about the finance and about the marketing. What do we mean by marketing? Promotion and?
Well, understanding the marketplace, first of all.
Understanding how the marketplace works and? Opportunities and? Customers. Marketing, okay, I was waiting for the identifying customer needs quote. Marketing is all about this. This is my customer, okay? This is your customer. I'm looking for Russian art, yeah? Marketing is all about and only about, yeah, why should they bother to buy from you? Yeah, marketing, the word marketing shouldn't be used. We don't do, my business doesn't do marketing consultancy. We don't use the word marketing. We use the word revenue generation, yeah? Because marketing is about making sales. Making sales is about making money. If you're not making sales, then your marketing is just an interesting hobby. It's an interesting activity that you're doing, okay? So it's got to be locked into generating revenue. And tons of people, when you say, how good's your marketing, they say, oh, we had 10,000 hits on our website last month and we've got, oh, yeah, but how many sales did you make? Because if you didn't make any sales, you're not going there. So there are as many measures of finance as there are of marketing. Measures of marketing are repeat business, referrals. Part of it will be the number of hits on your website. Part of it will be how you're perceived by your customers, how you're perceived by your competitors. And you can give yourself a score out of 10 for your financial performance, and you can give yourself a score out of 10 for your marketing performance. So now we've got two pieces. We've got marketing, which is get the customers, get the customers, get the customers, and we've got finance, which is get the money, get the money, get the money. So get the customers, get the money, get the customers, get the customers. What's the bit that's missing? Product. Yeah, doing the doing. I'll call it operations. Okay, but doing the doing, which is selecting the right artwork, putting that artwork up on the website so that people recognise it. When people click and buy on it, oof, the artwork arrives on their doorstep in perfect condition, and they go, yes, this is fantastic. Yeah. Operations is, oh, we really like the look of this video. It's perfect for my school. We're doing this for an A-level. They click on the button and woogie, by DVD or streamed or by whatever method, the right product arrives on my screen, and when we watch it, it's what we were expecting. Probably exceeds our expectation. Okay, operations is the doing. And for only the businesses in the room, you've got finance, marketing, and operations, and the whole piece is a juggle. So it's marketing, get the customers. Operations, do the doing. Finance, collect the money. It is as simple as that. It is sell, make, collect, sell, make. And as long as you keep all the balls in the air, there is no problem, okay? The problem comes when you kind of start losing out and you drop balls. Most of us are really great at one or two of these things. In fact, most of us are really great at operations. In fact, probably everyone in this room, apart from maybe your original job, are really good at doing. I love making films. I make the best films in the world. You wouldn't believe how good my films are, yeah. And in John's days when he had a real job, it was, the computers that we sell. We use, we've got a new piece of software called Word 1, and it's fantastic. It does all kinds of things with you. It's way better than Word Perfect. I remember you trying to sell it to me. And I was going, saying it would never take off. Can't see a way. I've got my Word Perfect. Why would I want anything else, So John and I do actually go back quite a long way. And Lotus 123, I said, I'm not getting rid of my Lotus 123. He said, no, there's this new product called Excel. It'll never take off. Not a hope in hell. Here's the point. A couple of points here, right? First, we're all obsessed with finance, or rather our bankers, accountants, consultants and mentors tend to be obsessed with finance. But finance is simply a consequence of how good you are at marketing, going and getting the customers and getting them to buy from you, because that's what it's about, and how good you are at delivering the deliverable. Okay? So if you are lousy at marketing, in other words, nobody knows about you and you don't know who they are and you don't know how to reach them, and even when they find you, you're not terribly interesting, yeah? They're not going to buy from you. And on top of that, if your operations is pretty poor, like you take ages to get round to sending the stuff out to them, and when you do send it to them, you've not wrapped it up properly, so it's damaged, and when they phone to grumble about the fact they've received a damaged picture, you don't really care. So if you're lousy at marketing and lousy at operations, hey, surprise, surprise, your finance would be lousy. On the other hand, if you were stunningly great at marketing, and you were stunningly great at operations, then your finance would be really, really fantastic. So that's the model. Simple as that. Of course, finance is not a ball of equal size. Finance is more like juggling with one of these. And the really interesting thing about juggling with one of these would be what? What do you think I'd focus on more now? That. Okay. And this is exactly what happens to us. In a recession, in front of the bank, in front of the consultant, in front of the whatever it is, everyone becomes really, really fixated, really, really fixated. I'm very, very good at juggling with this. Really, I'm very good. Everyone gets fixated on the finance, okay. But finance is simply a consequence of how good you are at marketing and operations. So the actual focus, inevitably becomes, I'm not going to drop the finance, I'm not going to drop the finance, I'm not going to drop the finance. So I've held on to the operations. So my first business was a restaurant, and this means the menu's up to date, the costs up to date, the Z totals on the tills are up to date. Operations, we've got the best food served by the best people in the world with the freshest ingredients. It's so wonderful, yeah? Unfortunately, marketing is pants. No one's heard of us, no one knows about us, we have no reputation, and that, in my book, is a dead business. And conversely, had we kept the marketing but dropped the operations, yeah? In other words, all the money's up to date, the marketing's the best marketing in the world, we've got queues of people coming in through the door, you can't stop the queues of people. But the operations is absolutely dreadful. I've got not enough staff, and the ones that I have got colds, and they don't wash their hands when they handle the food, and the rest of the staff are in the toilet because they've got dysentery, but they're coming out and they're still serving people, and I've got really rude people working. That wouldn't be sustainable. So, how do you tell how good your business is? This is the bit we're getting to. Bless you. Bless you. How do you tell? It's all right, okay, you see everyone's moving their way across the room. How do you tell how good your business is? Scores out of 10, where 10's a high score, for your financial performance, your marketing performance, and your operations performance. Okay? And your mentors could, for instance, on a monthly basis, as businesses start trading, just say, score out of 10 for finance, marketing, operation, before we get the conversation going, and you go, finance is 4 because we still haven't got that funding in place. Marketing's 8 because we've just been invited in to see. Operations is 6 because the project still keeps falling over. And it's a great snapshot to actually make it down. So how does a banker evaluate? Were you going in as a startup, or were you going in as an existing business? Startup. Okay. How do they go into a startup? Almost identical phrases, okay? I'll just show you how they go. They use this framework, okay? So this is called FIMO, or it's often called FIMO and recoil. There's another piece underneath it which talks about your potential to grow. But looking at startups specifically, and I wouldn't like to mention Barclays or NatWest, they use this framework, which is called MORPHA. Those of you who are Welsh will know that MORPHA means good view. And this framework, what's great about both frameworks is for the interviewer, for the mentor, for the bank manager, for the consultant, they can be looking at the business and going, in my view, scores out of 10 for this business are 4 out of 10, but getting better. If they did this, it would be 5. It's a very loose but very, very fast, quick way of evaluating a business. And what's also great about the process is by me asking questions covering finance, marketing, and operations, remember operations includes people, it means I cover all the bases when I talk to a client. So for working with a startup client, whether you're a bank manager or a consultant, and this framework was also used by parts of Business and Inc. at times, use this framework MORPHA. And MORPHA stands for market. Okay, so score out of 10 for market. Who's the market? What's the marketplace? Who are the targets? How easy are they to find? If we sold to them, how would other people behave? At what price would we go in? How easy would it be to do that? Okay, so with Olga, dead straightforward with Olga. Score out of 10. Does she know who her customers is, how they buy, when they buy, where they buy, what they buy? Does she understand how they're going to buy from her? Does she understand what her competitors might do? Does she understand what price point she should be going in at? Does she understand how she's going to make the first sale? Does she understand how she's going to make the 10th sale? That's kind of going on in my brain. When I talk to her, I'm a lot more friendly, and I'm going, hi, Holger, really interesting. Tell me about marketing. But that's kind of the questioning that's going on in my head. Second question is around objectives. Yeah. Success is for Olga, as this table I think is established, is different from what it might be for other people. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely fine. So what is she trying to achieve? If she's trying to achieve £30,000 a year out of the business, it's very different from if she wants to sell the business for 30 million in 5 years' time. So in terms of objectives, where does she want to be in a year's time? Where does she want to be in 3 years' time? For herself, for her career, and also for her business. Okay, the business is only part of it. So last week I'm with a guy, and we did a thing called the wallpaper exercise. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. And at the end of his wallpaper exercise is, in 3 years' time, 42 stores doing £27 million turnover with a £9 million profit. Okay, to be sold at a 3 times multiple, which makes 27 million quid. Okay, so that's how he's doing it. If we did the same exercise with Olga, it would be different. It would be, I want to sell this number of pictures, I want this number of artists, but also I want to have covered my whatever it is. Talk to Olga about what she really wants. But unless we've got clarity about what we want to achieve, score out of 10 where 10 is a high score, 0 is a low score, it's kind of impossible to, to go along the line and say, yeah, we're on track or we're not on track. In the same way that I'm saying, at the beginning of every conversation, you say, score out of 10 for finance, marketing, operations. If Olga wants to sell the business for 30 million in 3 years' time, she's way off the mark. But if what she wants is a lifestyle business, which is giving her the satisfaction and rewards that she wants, then she's probably on the money. For resources. Financial resources, human resources, intellectual resources, physical resources, and probably IT resources. So in terms of the stuff you need, the resources to actually make the business happen, where are you? Do you need a shop? Do you need stock? Do you need interface? Do you need some research done? So what are the resources you need today, and what are the resources you need in a year's time for a startup? Score out of 10, where 10 is a high score, 0 is a low score. Next one is the financials. And you'll see that finance, marketing, operations kind of comes up again. And financials, to my mind, is divided into two, which is, one is about you need to understand how the P&L and balance sheet work. But more importantly, someone in the business needs to understand how this stuff works. And it could be you or it could be someone else, okay? And the number of, those who are in the mentor group will share, the number of people who get to the end of year one and say, I've had a cracking year and I've just gone out and bought a brand new BMW Series 5 and it's a really great car. And then they get hit by a tax bill they weren't expecting or a VAT bill they hadn't thought they were going to have to pay is just unbelievable. So it's just about understanding the finance, understanding the implication of putting prices up by 10%, understanding the implication, which I recommend you do, understanding the implications of VAT, understanding the implications of that whole piece. And I'm afraid to say, this is a bit of a school of hard knocks place here. It's only when you lose your own money that you understand how finance really works, he says, putting his hand up to admit he's done it. And the final piece is ability and commitment of the individual or the leadership team to make it happen. Do you understand what it really means to run a business? Do you actually understand? You said something brilliant. I'm sure you'll agree. You said there's only two things that really matter, which is understanding route to market and understanding how to sell. Okay. Which I 100% agree with, okay? And you can be mustard keen, puppy dog enthusiastic for the greatest idea ever. But the question is about whether it's actually got legs, whether people will buy. And my kind of retort to your, I really like it, route to market and ability to sell, is that the market is brutally honest. Yeah, it's brutally honest. In other words, if you're not selling stuff, it's for one of two reasons. Either you've got a crap product, or you're crap at marketing. It's kind of like, I live in a bit of a binary world, as you probably realised. But my experience of having stunning products which have flopped is normally either they're not stunning products at all. That's just I was mesmerised by my own image in the mirror. You know, it was just I just couldn't. And my family thought it was fantastic, and my friends thought it was amazing, and I couldn't see any reason why it shouldn't be wonderful. Or alternatively, we were just pants at actually just trying to market and sell it. So what the bankers do, quite specifically, when they're sitting behind the desk, hidden behind their little name badge, yeah, they very often have this morpher framework written down so that they can ask you questions as they go through about, so can you talk about the market and how you're going to make the first sale? And what exactly are you trying to achieve? And what resources are you going to need in a year's time to keep this thing going? And could you just show me your P&L and your balance sheet? And they're great as a interactive conversation piece to get things going. Right, this is what I want you to do. If you're in startup mode, certainly you too, I want you to be the victims, okay? And I want someone to be the consultant advisor and walk across to you and spend the next probably 10 minutes with you. You score yourself first. I'm going to score myself. I understand them. How well do I understand the market? 6 out of 10. How clear am I about I think I'm about 5. What result? No, I know what I'm doing there. I know exactly what I'm doing there. Ability and commitment to grow. Not quite. I'll put a 6 there. And I want the consultant to give you a really hard time. Yeah, and just go 6. Why have you scored yourself 6 for marketing? Oh, I think I understand who the customers are and who the people are in the industry. Do you really? Oh, yes. So how many people are there buying at the moment? Oh, I don't know. And how often do they buy? Oh, I don't know. And what price point do they like buying at? Oh, I'm not so sure. Oh, so you scored yourself a 6. Are you sure it should be a 6? Maybe I'll make it into a 5. I'm sorry. So it's about that process of asking. And the great thing about the Morpher framework is it challenges you to find out where you need to find more evidence to make it happen. And I hate the word, but it's holistic. It kind of deals with everything, yeah. Because if you're a marketing guy, you'll only talk about marketing. Yeah. Okay, so those of you who are very much in startup mode do that. Those of you who are running businesses at the moment already, I suggest you do FIMO. Score out of 10 is actually, it's only 3 boxes, but it'll actually, this exercise, okay, I have done with boards of banks, national bakeries, and so on and so forth. And this one exercise normally lasts up to 2 days. Because you go, score for marketing, 7. Why 7? Oh, look at the last we had, 10 million hits. Yeah, but it fell over, didn't it? Yeah, well, maybe it's a 6. So it's a 6, is it? Well, it is a 6, but we're better than competitors. So it's an 8 then. Well, it's not an 8. Well, and that's what happens, okay? And this is a lovely, the guys in the room won't understand because they'll go, well, I'm a 6, 7, 3. That's the end of that. But actually, it's actually about the conversation and the chat. So those of you who run your own businesses, I would suggest you use FIMO. So we have FIMO and we have Morpher. Those of you who don't have businesses, who starting to feel like they're a bit like spare parts in the room, I suggest you become the consultant. So you latch onto someone who is either startup mode or existing business mode, and you ask the nasty questions. There is no point asking nice questions in this exercise. So tell me about your business. That's nice, that's interesting. Okay, because nobody gets any benefit. So you're entitled to actually ask the really nasty questions. Yeah? And, you know, nothing goes outside this room. That's assumed. But don't take hostages. Make people twitch with the questions you ask them, because they will actually benefit more from doing that. Right. This is what I'd like you to do. Okay. Let's just, as I said, you know, the Morpher exercise or the FIMO exercise can be a day, okay? But I know that you're very, very bright, which is why I gave you 20 minutes to do it in, okay? What I'm doing is I'm dragging slides from about 5 different presentations to make your agenda for today, which I'll show you in a minute. And I'll distribute copies of the slides so you can use them. FIMO and Morpher are, one, brilliant because they are... Firstly, was it any good? Did it work? Did it get you talking? Okay, right, fantastic. Okay, so it's brilliant, one, because it's, and I hate the word, but I'll say it, holistic, makes you look at the whole thing. So as far as I'm concerned, every business is a marketing problem, okay? It's always a marketing problem, okay? Whereas my friend Paul, who's an accountant, would say it's not a marketing problem, it's finance and systems, it's clearly. So what these profiles do, these frameworks do, is they make you look at the whole business, one. Secondly, it gets the conversation going, and it enables even, I apologise for being rude, but even Michael, with his less experience than many people in the room, to ask really nasty questions of Simon, who was squirming and wriggling, and going, oh, that's a really nasty question, because it gets you to think the unthinkable and say the unsayable, and you need that. The other thing about it is that it's not judgmental, it's totally objective. There's no kind of agenda-driven trying to get you anywhere. The numbers just speak for themselves. What I'd like you to do is, in a moment, I'd just like you to wrap up your conversations with each other. But before you do that, just give you a little bit of feedback generally. I've run either the FIMO or the Morpher framework with over 20,000 businesses, okay? And this is what's really interesting, okay? Average scores on the doors. On average, businesses employing less than 100 people, predominantly businesses employing less than 10, score themselves a 4 or a 5 for finance. Okay, remember, it's not about how pretty your accounts look, it's about cash turnover, profit. In other words, we're driving a second-hand Ford Mondeo, it's okay, it could be better, it could be worse, we take the kids on holiday, just about affording to pay the school fees, it's kind of going okay. Marketing we'll come to in a minute. Operations is an entirely different matter, okay? Operations. I am a demigod at what I do. I have been on all the courses. I've got NVQs, I've got diplomas, I've got MBAs. There's nothing I don't know about what I do. I go to all the conferences, I read all the magazines. There's so much I know about my subject. I'm in public, so I won't give myself a 10, but I will give myself an 8.5, because I am a little demigod at what I do. Everyone says it. I mean, you don't be shy, really. Everyone, there is nothing Olga doesn't know about Russian art, modern Russian artists, the best Russian artists there are. There is nothing she doesn't know about them. Yeah? And then we come to marketing. I'd like you to think back to when you were at school and you had to go to see the careers teacher. And the careers teacher said, and tell me, what is it you want to do when you grow up? And I'd like you to leap up in the air and do a star jump like that if you said, when the teacher said, what do you want to do when you grow up? If you said, when I grow up, I want to be in sales. 1, 2, 3, 4, go. I'm always on my own. Okay? No one sets up in business to do sales, because the trouble with selling is you get it wrong and you lose, and people don't buy from you, and you travel halfway across the country and they don't buy, or when you get to them they screw you down on price and they don't value you and you feel like a prostitute and a whore. And marketing is just the most horrible, horrible thing to have to do, okay? And so most of us score ourselves for marketing a 2 or a 3. So here is partially the good news, okay, but it's only partial, right? As you recall, what I said before was your financial performance is an average of how good your marketing and your operations performance is. I can't emphasize that enough. If your marketing is pants and your operations is pants, your finance is pants. Your finance is an average of how good you are at marketing and operations, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to improve the financial well-being of your business, you need to sort out your marketing. And that applies in 9 out of 10 businesses. Yeah? I am a demigod at what I do. Yeah? As I was saying over there, my IFA man, who's going to have 42 branches in 3 years, knows everything there is about wealth management. Yeah? His only drawback is he's got the plan to get from shop 36 to shop 42. We just haven't got round to getting number 1 open and getting the first 10 clients in. Okay, that's the only minor drawback we've got at the moment. Okay, so learning points are 2. One big learning point is you've got to sort out your marketing. Yeah? No more head in the sand stuff. No more pretending someone else can do it. But it's not as simple as that, because you've also got to have what I would call a really robust financial model. When you sell stuff, you have to make money. There's no point being gobsmackingly wonderful at marketing if when you sell stuff you don't make money. So actually there's a little twizzle. Twizzle 1, step 1 is make sure your financial model is sorted out so that you're not making a penny in the pound, but you're making 10p or 20p in the pound. Then go full steam ahead on marketing. Before I kind of wrap up, we're going to go to lunch at about 12, just after 12:30. Before I wrap up, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to wrap up the process you've gone through, okay? So you've had the victims saying, these are my scores, and this is what's going on in my business, and this is what I'm trying to do, and it's very, very difficult, and don't be horrible to me. What I'd like the raw meat, raw garlic-eating consultants who've been asking the questions to do now is to give the victim 3 things that they need to do right now, okay? And the thinking behind that is, Olga, if I was to invest, in fact, I wouldn't invest my pension policy in your business yet. I would invest my pension policy in your business when you've done the following 3 things. And the 3 things are 1, 2, 3. And you've just got like 2 or 3 minutes just to tell Olga, tell Stephen, Simon, tell these people what they need to do to make this stuff happen. That's the first thing you're going to do. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to take the phone number of the victim and you're going to phone them in 10 days' time to make sure they've done what you've asked them to do. And I'm more serious about the second bit, okay? So 3 things you want them to do, swap phone numbers, okay? I want you just to do it in 4 or 5 minutes, quite quickly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. You have over lunch to discuss it further, but what I do implore of you is that you kind of hand over your, this is what I'm going to do in the next 10 days, list, and you go off and do it. For me, one of the biggest things for me about businesses, when I look at them, when I look at whether I'm going to invest in them, is vitality and energy. And one of the simplest things to do to actually just, especially when you get stuck, because I think you work really hard and you kind of get to a plateau, you don't know what to do next. Sometimes you just need to unstick yourself. And the simplest way, in my experience, of unsticking yourself is just commit yourself to have 10 conversations today with people in the industry. I don't care who they are. Phone them up, say, hi, you're from the BBC, I need to talk to someone, I've got this great idea for this film, and I'm not quite sure who I should be talking to. Just get on the phone and stuff starts happening. But sitting in your office, staring at your laptop is not the way to do it. I've kind of rewritten your agenda so it looks a little bit like this, okay? So what we've done so far is step 1, which is, question how good is my business? And I kind of wanted to get that in place because it's kind of the foundation for the next bit that you do. And I think we all need to be honest about where we are. If you're a 666 or a 555 or an 888, you need to know where you are, especially in terms of what's going on. I want to talk a little bit about what works, okay? Very quickly, what works in marketing, and I'll do this afternoon. I want to talk also about what I call disruptive marketing, and by disruptive marketing, it's just understanding that basically marketing, as taught over there, is actually lazy marketing, okay? People have spent the last 30 years believing if they spend more money on marketing, they will make more sales, okay? And they are in a world which I don't know what it is and where it belongs, okay? But if you're running your own business, it's not about spending more money, it's about thinking cuter and cleverer and finding angles, and to stop thinking about your product from behind your desk, but think of your business through the customer's eyes. What is the problem that you're sorting out for your customers? It's not difficult. And then I kind of want to just talk through what I would call the expert model, what you've all got in common, and is why we wrote this fantastic book called Grow Your Service First. What you've all got in common is you're all running an expertise, an expert model. Okay, experts do certain things. Experts have a clear focus on what they're going to do, who their customer is, what the customer's problem is, and how they can sort it out, and how they can add value more than anyone else. Experts tend to speak, they tend to write, they tend to network, but what they speak and write and network about is the same thing, the same expertise, the same knowledge. Experts also tend to work very strongly around the idea of testimonials. So, if you want to talk about me, the best place to find out about me is Sir Richard Branson says, yeah? Or go to Wikipedia, okay? And that Wikipedia thing, despite the fact that it keeps on being flamed by someone, is worth more to me than anything I say about myself. And if you understand what an expert does, because basically we're all selling hot air in this room, we're selling reputation, we're not selling product, then the next stage is to micro niche, okay? So that you're not just selling to everyone, you're selling to specific people. We are selling to Americans who are interested in the plays of Faustus. Yeah, we're selling to investors who are particularly interested in buying Russian, not any art, but Russian art, okay? Because it's really easy to become number one in a very small niche. And in this world of the internet, so pardon me, I'm really, really boring, but I'll just give you a quick example. My obsession is Martin guitars pre-1945, okay? Very, very niche. They only made, the particular one that I made, I'm obsessed with, they only made 250 in the years I'm looking at, okay? I know every Martin, 00028, 00018 and 017 since 1945 that's available for sale in the world, okay? Now, that's partly because I'm very anarchy about it, but that's because that's the world we're in now. The world we're in now is if anyone's going to sell anything, it's going to be on the internet. Okay? So, there's a guy in London who just sells Martin guitars. Do you think I know him? God, do you think I know on his website every single day? And if I'm going to buy a Martin guitar, I'm going to buy from Mr. Martin, so to speak. Okay? So, he's got me by the short and curlies, because he said I'm the expert at what I do, because of what I talk, say, read, blah, 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 and because of that, he's going to be the first. And if you're selling stuff, and one of my clients is Gay Times, if you're selling stuff to lesbians who are into AC/DC and wearing leather while drinking fresh orange juice, there is a website for those people, okay? And there is a good business to be made, because if you're a lesbian and you're into AC/DC and you like drinking orange juice, you can't find anywhere to go until someone puts up a website. So this thing about micro-niching is really interesting. Once you've done the micro-niching, the whole thing becomes really straightforward. Google AdWords, return on investment, be clear about your proposition, and people can come to you. Now that's the pitch that you're sold on your happy clappy marketing program, and now buy from me from the back of the room. But that model is basically what you guys are working at, because once you've got that piece sorted out, you just need to sort out your message, a compelling message, which when I see it says, I just have to buy from these people. I'm sorry, I've just got to buy from these people. I'll give you a classic example. Virgin Money, okay, have just set up two Virgin Money store banks, one in Norwich, one in Edinburgh, in the high street. You walk in, there's Virgin stuff all over the place. There's a little cash machine in the corner. That's it. It's just like the Virgin business class airplane lounge. And you just go in and sit down, help yourself to the fresh coffee and tea, help yourself to the fresh juice and the croissant, sit down, play with the iPads, Everyone's talking about it. What do they expect from their customers? Nothing. Just go in and enjoy yourself. You're a customer, there's a lounge, and you can, and it's also flipping how all other banks behave. The other banks don't know what to do with it. Really, really interesting how it's happening. So, figure out what the heck your message is. And then once you figure out what your message is, then what we're talking about is going from strangers, friends, lovers, to get your hopper from 1,000 people who are looking on the internet to 25 people who actually come to your website to 2 people who actually buy, or whatever your business model is. So that's basically what we're going to put together this afternoon. And within that, we're going to incorporate everything that everyone else is doing. So we're going to go to lunch now. This is how we're going to do it, unless there's going to be a message from someone else. No? No, okay. I'm going to count from 5 to 1. When I get to 1, you're going to leap to your feet. You're going to find someone you've not spoken to, walk up to them, and you're going to tell them one thing you're taking away from this morning so far.